Hey YouTube, Awesome Writer here with a sort of Power Rangers theory. This is based on the Zeo Crystal and whether or not its current introduction in the Power Rangers comic could lead us to be getting Zeo Rangers or a Zeo comic or something soon. So as of recently, primarily in the Mighty Morphin comic, there has been more mention of the Zeo Crystal, as they have found a shard of it in the past version of Rita's palace, Pandora's palace, of Zordon and his friends Zardis and Zorfram. They found it and they talk about a legend of it. It goes more into the lore of it. It sort of contradicts some of the stuff we've learned about it, but at the same time it's framed as a legend. They talk about how it was possibly a literal pure shard of the morphing grid itself. They talk about this ancient dragon sort of stopped anyone from using the morphing power but him, or blocked it off or whatever, but then this ancient warrior Xenon or whatever used the fragment to wield the power and destroy the dragon. And it's kind of a legend though, but given the fact that they brought it up, there's obviously going to be some truth to it. And the other stuff we learned about the Zeo Crystal was from Beyond the Grid, where it was this planet that was Zeo Crystal and was cut off from the rest of the universe to protect it because it was a power that was too, powerful to be wielded by anybody. But now it's been reconnected to the universe at the end of Beyond the Grid. So I don't know if it contradicts anything. Like I said, it's because it's a legend, and so we don't know whether that's actually just face value truth or whether it's something else involved with what we already know and it'll be streamlined later. So, and I don't know how the timeline of this works either, in terms of, was this crystal that they found as the Zeo Crystal just a fragment of the planet left over after it got cut off? This past flashback with Zordon and his friends, does it take place before the Morphin Masters cut off that planet, or is it after? So a lot of that depends on that. I should probably look into that after this, but I'm not sure about the timeline of it or how they're going to mesh up. But the bottom line is that they're doing a lot more with the Zeo Crystal lore right now. And I was curious if that means we're foreshadowing the next arc after this being something with the Zeo Rangers. Are we going to be setting up for the Rangers to take the Zeo powers? Now, as of right now in the comic, we are in the time frame of their universe's version of Season 2. The Thunder Zords, White Ranger, all that stuff. And in previous comic issues, we have seen hints of the Ninja Zords and Ninjor. So it's in the realm of that. It's in this realm. So we haven't hit Season 3 stuff. I'm going to assume that it still exists. I don't know whether we're going to be wanting to go over it. As we know, MMPR is what sells the best. I know a lot of people are sick of MMPR stuff, but I totally understand why the main comic has to be MMPR, because it sells best. So I could totally see us doing the next arc in the Season 3 time frame with the Ninja stuff and Ninjor, just to keep that brand out there. It seems like it does better when it's MMPR. I mean, Shattered Grid did really well. It seemed like all the Necessary Evil in these recent comics have done better than Beyond the Grid did when they went off book. And I know it can be frustrating, but unfortunately, they have to sell to more than just the tiny little niche fandom, and that's going to result in them marketing to people that are just going to recognize MMPR. So my point with that being is I could see them wanting to go through Season 3 content first. And if I'm being honest, as sick as I am of MMPR sometimes, because of how much I love the comics and their interesting version of the universe, I'm kind of interested to see what they do when they get to Season 3 territory. I want to see how they might expand on the lore with Ninjor and the Ninja Coins and Cat and the Alien Rangers. So I'm actually excited to see what they do with that, whether or not that becomes the next significant arc, or if it's just a little blip or something we learned about later. They are using the Zeo Crystal right now, so that, one of two things could be happening. One of three things. The first could be they are setting it up, and we're going to be not too long from now getting the Zeo Rangers in the comic, and that's the next arc. Or they could be doing a long game setup, meaning the next arc after what's going on will be Season 3 related, and then they'll be doing Zeo eventually. But this is laying a more detailed mythology and groundwork for us to eventually get a Zeo comic. And the third option is this isn't really hinting towards it right now. I'm not saying that Zeo will never happen, but it's not hinting towards it in the near future, and it just happens to be something from later seasons lore they're bringing in, as it's not unheard of for the comic to do that. I mean, just recently bringing in Astronema and Ecliptor from In Space lore. Dane is a species of Doggy Kruger, and he's an SPD character. We use Space SPD. As mentioned, we've seen glimpses of Season 3 stuff before, so it's not unheard of for the comics to bring in characters or lore we learn about in later seasons that don't necessarily mean we're getting something that involves that season or a spin-off or something. So the Zeo Crystal's involvement very well could just be the lore being integrated and not necessarily hint towards it. But I'm hoping it does. I actually do kind of hope we do something with season 3 and then move on to Zeo, because I think in terms of the main comic, Zeo might be the safest bet if they ever want to move to different suits. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but I feel just from the general consensus I see in terms of casual fans, the season that's second most remembered is probably Zeo, because it was basically MMPR season 4. Maybe they'll even just bring the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comic name back and title it Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and have the Zeo Rangers on there. Who knows? But I think, I'm not saying it will happen, I'm just speculating, and I'm just saying on paper I think that if they ever wanted to move the main comics away from the MMPR suits in any form, Zeo would probably be their safest option. But regardless, I like the stuff they're doing with the lore, and I do hope it leads to something. I mean, as of right now, we have 2 Power Rangers comics, Power Rangers and Mighty Morphin, so that definitely leaves the door open for us to potentially get Zeo Rangers in one of those. They could also bring up some Zeo lore in the world of the Coinless, who knows? But what do you guys think? Do you think that the current use of the Zeo Crystal in the comics means we're hinting towards a near future of a Zeo comic? Would you like to see it? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you can get my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.